Welcome to Work Hard, Play Harder, where cash flow is king. With Jake Haynes, this is where powerful ideas, real experiences, and game-changing strategies help you maximize cash flow and build unstoppable success. Now, let's dive right in.
Hello and welcome to the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. We are having so much fun here today because we have one of these amazing people that we're going to interview today. Rachelle is amazing, and we're going to introduce her in just a moment. Hi, it's Jake with Action Tax, and I'm here to share with you some continuing information as compared to what I shared with you on the previous podcast. Podcast, what I shared with you was the 5 levels of success. And in that 5 levels of success, the top level was celebrity status. And today I like to talk to you a little bit more about defining success. How do you define success? There are many different opinions about how success is defined. Everyone's kind of a little bit different in that area. It may be in multiple areas of your life of how you define success, with your family and emotionally and in spirituality ways and physically about how fit you are and financially where you stand. There are many different facets potentially to how you define success in your life. And as we talk about defining success, I would like to have you contemplate just for a moment, what are the things that allow you to say, I am successful? How do you give yourself credit for the success that you achieve in your life? And think about that as we talk a little bit about some of the ways to actually measure and define success. So some people say that they're able to define success by being able to give back. And some people define it by the measurement of results. And as they reach results, they can define that they have success. And I believe that's true. I am a very big goal setter, setting lots and lots and lots of goals, well over 2,000 in my life that I have completed. And I consistently measure my success in all of the goals that I achieve on a regular basis. I believe that goals fuel success. Goals are, they are the gasoline that gets you going. And there's no reason that you can't have just exactly that kind of measured success in your life. Some of the keys to achieving that success, that ability to reach that level in your life, are to be able to focus and execute on the highest priorities, being your goals. And, I remember reading a book and it talked about the 80-20 principle. And it should be your focus to be entirely focused in on the top 20% of what's most important for you. And to step outside of your comfort zone is another key to being successful for many people. To have unshakable resolve, even to self, right? To ignore, remove yourself from bad energy. That is a key to success. If you have bad energy floating around your life, find ways to separate those from your drive to be successful. Edison, he spent many, many years trying to create the light bulb, and he actually had something in the neighborhood of 10,000 failures before he finally had a successful light bulb that would light up the room. Contemplate that as you look about how success is loving failure, because every failure is one step closer to the ultimate success. Remember there's no excuse for moving forward towards your goals and your objectives and success and how you measure it. Be obsessed with this, right? And be 100% accountable to your goals. Now, some people will have a coach that will help them out. We coach many, others coach people. These things help the person reach that success that they want. In our many webinars and in our seminars and our webinars and our podcasts, we will frequently talk about ways to be more successful, and we will have a great many opportunities to meet many successful individuals. And I look very forward to helping each one of you achieve the greatest success in your life. So let's carry forward. Rachelle, I'd like to introduce you and tell everyone a little bit about you. Now, how many offices do you have?
I've got 10 offices all over Washington and Idaho and Oregon.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So you have 10 real estate offices, and how many agents does that entail?
I think when I checked, we're at 628.
Woo-hoo.
A lot
So
of contractors all over.
yeah, yeah, you are working with over 600 agents as they are, I mean, they're making their career. Yeah. Okay, so okay, I just want just some random figure. Okay, how much does some of your most successful, top 2%, how much do they make in a year about?
Anywhere from 500,000 a year to 700,000 a year. Those
Wow.
would be
Okay.
top tier.
Uh-huh. Okay, and then what would you say would be the average amount? What's about the average of a real estate, like the mean? What's in the middle there? What's the average that most real estate agents make in a year?
I mean, all of them that are kind of in that trying to get to that level, we always look for six figures, breaking a $100,000 barrier. That's where most people start. They get into real estate, and if they're leaving their day job or leaving their career, maybe it's in a corporation, they're always coming to me and saying, can I break 100,000? And the answer is yes, you can definitely do that with
Yeah.
real estate.
Hmm. Okay. All right. Wonderful. So how long have you been doing real estate?
Since I was a teenager, my dad and I would buy and sell and we would flip houses. And that's how I got my start. I got my license right when we turned the century. So that's how long I've been licensed here in Washington. I'm licensed in multiple states.
Uh-huh.
So I've been doing this full time for many years, over 20 years.
Mhm.
And I love what I do. This is what I have a passion for it ever since I was a teenager. Just the investment and the people part of the business. It's what gets me excited to get up and go to work. It doesn't even seem like work to me.
And that's the best thing. That's the best thing you have in the whole world is when you get up and you head to the office and you want to be there. You want to be there to meet the clients, meet your agents, and meet your staff in the office and work through the troubles. But it's just business and it's fun, right?
Mhm.
Okay,
Also,
so I'm looking at a couple stats here that you sent me. You help in closing 1.3 billion in sales a year. That's fabulous. That's incredible numbers. I mean, oh God, I mean, it just drives me to ask like a million questions, like there's got to be some things that go wrong, with transactions, Yeah, I mean, okay, really quick question. How often, like in a year, how many of your agents, maybe even you, but your agents, however, get sued?
we don't get sued. I
Okay.
consider it proactive law. We do a lot of negotiation, communication, and mediation between the parties. So we pride ourselves that we've actually only had one errors and omission claim in my entire career. That's unheard of. Other brokerages of my size and stature would probably have at least one or two a month that they handle. Where Best Choice Realty, I don't like that type of thing. So we get ahead of it. We do a lot of proactive measures so that we don't get ourselves in a lawsuit situation.
That's great. Man, that's good to hear. So you are good at negotiating then, because
Yes.
people get upset sometimes about house sales, and I mean it can get really ugly, And of course, by nature, real estate agents should be good at negotiating, right?
Mhm.
But when you're working with that many people, I just see problems and challenges that just come. But you must be like that magic person and that magic personality or something. I don't know.
Well, you get ahead of things, right? When you know that there's a problem or you sense that a client is going through a difficult situation. I have one right now that's the tree, the storm happened, what was it, a month ago? And then
Yeah.
we had a closing and it's very complicated sale. Western Washington, a lot of trees, and the investor was going to be doing a lot of cleanup to the property anyways, but the tree fell on the carport. And so the buyer was like, I don't want to do this deal, obviously until the seller, because I mean, it changed the landscape of the project, of how much work would take. So we're negotiating that right now. But again, we're past all the contingencies. Hey.
Hi
Uh,
there.
and so we're having a nice conversation. Just got word today that everybody's come to terms. So
Wow. And
the
so
tree
it's
got
like it's
removed.
resolved now.
Yeah. So sometimes it works with communication, good time management, and then getting all the parties together,
Uh-huh.
to come to a good, suitable resolution. And a closing date was tomorrow. So I got the message this morning that we're all good to go.
That's That's great. So I just catching Stanley up a little bit here. She works with over 600 real estate agents in 3 states and has 10 offices in these locations. And she has never had a lawsuit with any of them, which is incredible. And that's just so cool. So Stanley here, he's a partner in crime with me. We get in trouble at least once a week, maybe more frequently. He does a lot of flipping activities with me, but Stanley causes all the problems. You know,
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he has a really, I don't know whether you call it a bad attitude or just an attitude, but yeah.
Two
we're keeping
attitude.
in trouble
Two.
then.
Oh yeah. I got to keep him on his toes. He likes, some days he's, on his P's and Q's, and some days he thinks he's like a member of the Seahawks. So it's like, what are
I've
we
been to
talking
a
about?
Seahawks game with him too.
You
Yeah.
know the background that I was going to put on here was the daggum Seahawks background. That's what I should have put on there, just to let
Yeah.
Stanley know not only where I stand, but who's number one. Dang.
Number one in Seattle.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, maybe
Yes.
maybe like number one in the nation.
In the
Yeah,
in the city of in
packing
King
their
County. Number one
day.
in King County. Yeah, King County number one. Yeah.
All right, all right, all right. We're here to hear Rachelle go about it. Rachelle. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the strategies that you use, that you suggest that your real estate agents use. You're working with a lot of them, and you're educating them on how to bring in leads and how to bring people to list with your agents and
Right.
to find the buyers that want to go out and get a house. What are some of your biggest and best strategies that work in with your agents in finding customers?
Well, it's for us, it's all about the people. So over 90% of the people that we do business with are the friends, the family, the network. That is who we do business with. So again, less risk when you work with people that you know or that know that they can trust you. So we do a very, very good job of making sure we're connecting with our people more regularly than typical real estate agents would. They do regular get-togethers, networking events, traditional marketing, things that you may think do not work. It's amazing what a phone call will do. I called somebody
Right.
just last month, and she said, I said, have you died? Because she's up there, she's looking to sell her home, and she's like, oh my gosh, I haven't heard from you. But she's like, you call and you email and you do all of these traditional things, and I've been meaning to call you back. So we do phone calls here at Best Choice, which is, I mean, it's nothing new. And we actually send birthday cards out to our clients, handwritten. So there's some interesting things we do. Again, it's that personal touch that I think is often missing. And it's not hard to do some of these things. It just takes a little bit of effort and planning and the right people to pull it off. We actually do social media marketing as well. So we take marketing plans, we put them into a channel. There's all kinds of social media, you can pay for a virtual assistant to do a lot of this work. I get tons of requests to do it. And we found a company that can do it for us and allows us to kind of create our own marketing plan within Best Choice Realty. And then we employ that, but it's also taking that social media and putting it like a little bit traditional as well. You got to have both, is what I've found that works the best.
That is cool. That's cool. Social media has become just the king of connecting with people, right?
I wish more people would use it. I mean, I've been trying to get my YouTube channel is growing, but we need more people to, at least in real estate, to get less afraid of what they look like on camera, and just pump out some videos on YouTube and create that, because I don't think they realize the reach that it really has.
Sure.
On YouTube, Facebook's not going away, at least in our industry, and same thing with Instagram. Those two portals are kind of a way that you can actually build a complete business just off on those two, Facebook and Instagram. So we do a lot of that, a lot of marketing on those two channels.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a question for you as well. In being that you have, obviously so many agents that you're managing and developing and growing, what are some of like the personal traits that you've noticed in like some of your top agents?
Personal traits. They're not afraid to pick up the phone and call people that they've never met before. So they are not shy at all. They're very, very good conversationalists.
Yep.
And they know how to look at the market statistics and be able to relate well with the client. So if they were to go to you, Stanley, they'd say, Stanley, what are you looking to do in the marketplace where they serve? And then find those properties, those opportunities that might meet your needs. Because they just kind of have that end, is the price is going up, is the price is going down, and you got to trust that the person you put in your place is going to be able to give you good, reliable advice on where to place your money.
That's awesome. So basically, scared money don't make no money.
That sounds good to me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I think one of the things that has been exciting for me is obviously I heard you say this meeting the people and like actually building those relationships and trying to come through for people. And it's really interesting the spectrum of agents, right? Like between just like an average agent that you bump into, and then when you meet that awesome rock star agent, you're like, whoa, like this is significantly different situation. And you can kind of feel it out based on their energy, how much they communicate with you and talk to you. And you know what? Just from hearing you, I kind of feel like it comes from up top. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
No, leadership is where it's at, right? When you align yourself with the people, you start to rise up. And so you want to put people in your place that have like-minded goals and business and visions and dreams that can really elevate where you're at in life. So we strive to find that at Best Choice. We look for that talent that's just a cut above. I don't bring in every agent with our pricing model. I could have probably well over a couple thousand real estate agents that work under me. I don't want that. I'm looking for that strong negotiator, that full-time committed person that can work really hard for the clients that we serve. So we're looking for the honesty and the trustworthy and all of that things before we even start discussing whether they should join my firm or not. So it's more of a selection process than just a real
That's
estate
awesome.
I think
That's awesome.
goes for why you don't have any lawsuits in the arena, and why you're doing 1.3 billion in sales annually.
I know that was a low year too, Jake. You keep bringing up 1.3 bill, but it's like that was 2023 and 2024 is kind of rough for us actually.
Oh,
She's like,
yeah.
she's like, Jake, get the updated email. Like, what's going on? 1.3 billion. What do you?
That was so last year, but we're on pace to have even a better year this year with more people. So yeah,
That's
we're just
awesome.
looking for really business-minded people that want to take their business to the next level and just want to level up, as far as what
Yeah.
they're doing and how they're doing it.
So, Rachelle, how frequently do you do training with your
Every week.
teams? every week?
Every week, absolutely. These guys, they need it. They're craving it right now. The younger generation, the early, people coming right out of high school and in their early 20s that we recruit, they they are so hungry for education right now. So we do a meeting every single week, and we do it on Zoom, so that they can participate from wherever they're at, all around the world. But every week, without fail, we've done that since 2014.
Man, that's great.
Wow.
That's great. Do you have do you kind of like have a 6 month out platform of what you're going to be teaching next? Is that how
Yes.
you kind of
Yeah,
start? And do
we have our own clock hour school that I designed in 2014, so that they can get their renewal. A lot of real estate agents, they wait till the last minute, as you can imagine, to get their renewal classes. And so we sprinkle that learning in throughout the year, and in bite-sized chunks so that they can get that done and they can also learn. We know, working with as many real estate agents as I have over the years, that real estate agents learn by doing, and they also learn by smaller chunks of time, not sitting through long day after day class. That's not how the learning takes place. It's really in bite-sized chunks and on the job, really.
That's
That's
great.
awesome. Yeah, for like say you were a new agent that was looking to jump into working at your firm, and you were able to, kind of exhibit that you were the right type of person and you had the right drive, and you were just starting out. What could a new agent look to earn in their first year? And we're assuming that they are actually listening to your coaching,
Yeah.
following your mentorship, like doing all the right things, not just trying to just get by. But what could a new agent look to earn on average in their first year?
Well, Stanley, 90% fall out in their first year. That's
Okay,
how many fall out. So it's very, very tough to find the ones that want to earn the money and know how to do the business. So
sure,
just right off the bat, you have to find the talent. We
yeah,
interview a ton of people every month looking to make real estate a career. But what we're looking for, the people that want to make the six figures, they've got to be able to be self-sufficient. They need to be able to be a self-taught, like, I had a lady I just brought in. She worked at Wells Fargo for about 8 years. I interviewed about 15 people in last month. I only bring in about one or two new agents that we mentor every month.
yep,
What made her stand out was her business. She sat down, she gave me a sheet of paper. She had written out her business plan, what she wanted to do. And as long as she does what she says she's going to do, she will easily clear a deal a month, as what she's shooting for. A deal a month
wow,
for us at Best Choice would clear easily a six-figure type of salary.
wow,
And we have a lot of things that we help these people with, to get set up. There's a lot of learning that takes place once they get their license.
sure,
So what we look for is people that have strong business backgrounds and that want to take good care of their people. But six figures is not unheard of as long as they can commit the hours and the time to do it.
of course. Yeah, I mean, it's similar to I kind of, as you're talking, I kind of relate to a lot of it being that me, I used to play professional football, and I think that 90% drop rate is very accurate, right? To
Yep.
when you're talking about something that is at a very high level of production that's demanded of you. So I think it's awesome. I really it's really exciting to hear kind of how you run your ship, and also how you bring people in and what you're expecting of them. And if I were a potential client, I'd be pretty excited about your firm. You know what I mean? And buying and selling with you guys. That's awesome.
Yep.
I wanted to ask you about you are a member of the board, right?
I am, yes.
Of the Northwest Real Estate Associate. What is it?
It's the Northwest Multiple Listing Service, which is
MLS.
yeah, the Northwest MLS, and they're a very respectable MLS across the United States. We're one of the five, I think maybe five, MLSs that are independent from the Realtor associations. So that's owned and operated and independently done, and it's run by a board of directors, and I'm one of the board members that serves on that. It's an elected position, so I have to go up and be elected after, I think it's every 3 years. But it's a very
Wow.
interesting position to be in, where we make decisions that impact our industry and also the agents and the brokers that we serve. So it's a very, very cool place to be. And it's landscape across the nation that's almost turned upside down with the national lawsuits that are happening across the
Yeah.
US.
And I wanted to ask you a little bit about that. Now Northwest MLS, I don't think was necessarily as impacted by that lawsuit as was many other associations across the nation. Is that right?
Yes and no. I mean, everyone
Okay.
was impacted, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
When those lawsuits took place, we also had to decide whether we wanted to sign off on the settlement. And Northwest MLS, they voted not to sign off on the settlement and join in the NAR settlement that came out. So we stood our ground here in the Northwest MLS territories where we operate a majority of our business, and continued to just follow the state law, which meant transparency, making sure compensation is in our MLS, and that our contracts did change, Jake. So, I mean, we did have quite a bit of change and disruption to our business when that took place. But nonetheless, we still are maintaining pretty high standards and doing a lot with the board and with the MLS that we already are participating with. So it's working out well. And I think we're definitely in the spotlight, whether we like it or not, in the Northwest MLS because of the decision we made as a board to not join in that lawsuit that took place or that settlement.
Do you think it was a better move?
I think so. I think there's strong the way that the settlement was written, I believe personally, and again, I'm not speaking as a board member, but personally, I don't feel like that settlement was worded in a way that protected a lot of the smaller brokerage. I would be considered a smaller brokerage in the sense of the amount of agents. But I'm just right there below that 2 billion that I would be protected with anyways. So for me, it was like, I don't think that lawsuit or even the settlement that everybody was supposed to agree to really served me and my interests well. And that was unfortunate that the rest of the country and a lot of companies had to settle out on something that was really not worded in the right way, the way that settlement was done.
Yeah, there are definitely some challenges and conflicts, with that across well, in this state and all over. And so that's interesting that you bring in some insight on that. The process is now completely settled. It's all done, or is it not yet the final one done yet?
No, there's still ongoing legal battles that are happening across the United States, and Northwest MLS is still in the spotlight, and we still have decisions to be made. But luckily, as far as business as I know it, and my day-to-day operations, that nothing as far as transparency and contracts and making sure our clients know how they're paying, who they're paying, what they're paying for. That's always been something that I've included in my firm as how we run our brokerage. We definitely show, how much money that our agents are going to make. There was always been that agency agreement that we've had within Best Choice Realty since the moment I started the company. I was licensed in another state that required that disclosure to be done. And while disclosure is necessary, we also had to practice, and this was in Utah, where I ran a brokerage in Utah, and I was licensed there. We actually had to sign off and give our client back in 2007 an agency that explained how we get paid. And that was something that I instituted on my business from the very beginning. So when I opened my firm in 2012, that was already instituted. So for me, things did not really change in regards to transparency and knowing how a buyer's agent is getting paid versus a listing agent is getting paid. Everybody had an understanding. So, the rest of the country and a lot of my colleagues were not so fortunate, let's put it that way, with how that was done.
Yeah. Well, that's great to get your perspective. What else happens in this board position? What other things are you able to influence? What's going on at the national or at the Northwest MLS level?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of technology tools that we introduce into the industry are done at that board level. So I do get to, see sometimes some of the newest technologies. There's some really impressive things with AI that I think is coming down the pipe, where you can do voice, where you could actually be in your car as an agent and actually get to say, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in Des Moines, Washington, and then you'll be able to have AI gather that data from the MLS and be able to repeat it back to you. So you're not actually having to visually see something. You can actually hear it audible, which is very cool. There's a lot of impressive things. Also, we're using in my firm, we're using like a floor plan creator, where all of our agents have been trained on how to basically walk the property, and the consumers are digging it big. They love it. I just did an open house this last weekend on a Sunday, and about 6 or 7 different people came through the open house, and it's kind of a choppy layout as far as how the house was built. And I told them, I said, I have a floor plan that you can take with you. And they're like, oh, can you text that? Can you email it to me? Clients love it because they can see, is that bedroom, is it big enough for my king size bed, or is that space, can I divide it up and maybe have grandma move in downstairs? They'll have dimensions above and beyond just the photos or the video that they're touring to really put things into perspective for them. So some cool things are coming down the pipe, and a lot of that's AI generated, but there's also concerns about security. So things like that become very much an essential place in what we discuss at a board level, or even in a brokerage firm levels. Which products do we get behind, and is it secure? Is it something that we want to utilize? Or is that something that maybe we need to take a pause on? So those are some things. Financially, obviously, making sure our finances are sound at a board level. And then also any forms or contracts that we have to approve in our line of work is also discussed and approved by the board. Even the discipline, I have to make a determination on whether somebody gets fined,
Yeah.
whether a bad boy or girl gets their hand slapped, or whether a fine is assessed. I have to be the one that gets to vote on those types of measures as well. So
I bet you that bodes well for you when you're doing your education, though, right? You're like, you know what? This is just another thing that you want to be careful with. You want to have it, in the contract. You want to be careful not to say this, do this, right? Sell this, oversell this. Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. It must be very rewarding and educational to be a board member for the Northwest MLS.
Yeah, it's fun. The people that I work with too are business owners that have run. I mean, I'm probably one of the younger board members, but people have served on that board for a long time, or come from very respectable and diverse backgrounds. And sharing in that is very exciting and rewarding as well.
Here's a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What's one of your really big, scary goals?
To be in the top 3 brokerages in Washington State. I think I'm in the top 10, but I'd love to be in that top 3. And that's pushing some boundaries that it does make somebody uncomfortable. Let's put it that way.
Oh, for
And there's a
sure.
lot of money from all over the world that comes into the Washington market. So
Yeah.
um,
And when you say top 3, you're talking like, when you're competing with all the big Windermere's and the John L. Scotts and you're trying to break in and plant the flag.
I know, and it's happening with the right people, but it
Yeah.
does take time. But it is a crazy goal. I know.
That's awesome though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is an awesome goal. So
So is
yeah.
it, I mean, there's so many agencies that have 2 or 3 thousand agents, right? So is it like based on per agent volume, or is it your
Well, I'm
gross?
looking at just market share, right, Jake? I mean, it's like more market share that gets you into that top 3 spot, right? But it takes leadership. It takes I'm struggling right now trying to figure out the mix of how much brick and mortar do I need versus how much can I do online and virtually. I mean, that's a struggle that a lot of people are facing right now in the Windemere's and the John L. Scotts. Like, you don't need as much brick and mortar, but you got to be able to attract the right types of agents that work in those respectable communities. So it's a battle, but it's doable if you have the right people and the right office spaces and the right connections.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to be said about that because, there's remote agencies activity, that you can do, right? And
Sure.
with the world changing and like, just like the ability to DocuSign things, right?
No.
That
Yeah.
that used to be a very hands-on process and go visit their house 17 times before the house closes. And now it's just boy, right on your phone, sign it off and be move on.
Yeah, but not everybody wants to have it digital like that. I mean, we still have a good percentage of our business that we do. Again, the friends and the family.
Mhm.
There is a Latino team that we have that works for Best Choice Realty, and they're currently. I just talked to him this morning, and I said, your people are still coming into the office?" He goes, 100%. They
Wow.
want to know. They want to walk into that office and know that they're being taken care of, and
Wow.
they don't want to do things virtually. They want to be able to shake hands with the person that's going to be handling their money, and they want to make sure that things are done right and that's legal. So, I mean,
Wow.
that stuff is still very, very valuable. That's why we keep a lot of the offices that we do, because we have that type of interactions with our clients.
Question for you. There's a lot of what do you call them? The closing agents out there, right? Companies that do it like Fidelity and just all over. I just say that name, but do you have a preferred closing company, or do you tell your agents it's just kind of all whoever you want to work with? How do you do that?
We have to establish relationships. So they're friends. There are friends in places where we want things done. And so if we have our top, I think we have our top title companies that we use, but that we use them for the reasons of customer service and making sure our clients are best served. And clients mean the clients plus the agents. The agents want to make sure if they make a mistake on a closing statement, that's a big deal. That could be a pain for the firm,
Yeah.
a pain for the agent. They don't get paid, or they drop something off. I mean, it's not good. So we really have high standards for the title and escrow companies that we work with.
Okay, now I got to know. Okay, who is the best title and escrow companies out there?
Well, it really
Oh,
depends. If you're wanting to be
this is a good
independent.
question. I want to hear this.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know. This is a tough one because I mean, there's shout outs. I know when I talked to one of my title friends yesterday, she's like, "Oh, who's number one?" She goes, "WFG." And I'm like, well, that's interesting because I haven't used WFG for a while, but I know Pat Stone really well. He's the CEO of WFG. So we were having that conversation last night. And the people we use are the people that are considerably not dropping balls and doing well. So I would say Chicago Title, Fidelity, and Ticor have been, and I know they're all under the same umbrella, but they've
Yep.
been constantly delivering for our customers. But then there's been some new, fun, innovative things that I've taken advantage of, and personally, a lot of other agents have, like an independent escrow company that can do some different things because our state allows for the independents to do it. And in-house escrow is fantastic. I can open up the title with somebody, but then have in-house escrow. They do a virtual signing, they set everything up, and then they give you a free home warranty. So that's saving the agent money, saving the customer some money. And at the end of the day, they like the virtual concept. So is that escrow company who we use for everyone? No, but certainly there's some interesting models out there that we're experiencing too.
That is definitely interesting. Okay,
Great
so
question. Great answer.
you're prepping a house for sale, and you got like signage, and you got the marketing that you're going to do to get out there, and you got the listing on MLS, right?
Yep.
All these variables. Do you use a transaction coordinator for that, or only for the close?
That's the hot topic of the year, Jake. Last year, the Department of Licensing, they were going to shake up the industry, and on top of everything else with what we were dealing with last year, on their agenda, they wanted to have the TCs jump in. And I have a lot of transaction coordinators that work for my company. And so right now it's like we make it a choice at our company whether to use a transaction coordinator or not. But I highly recommend it. I think it's super, super good to have somebody that's got a good handle on your paperwork. A lot of real estate agents, as you might know, Jake, being in taxes, they're horrible with the paperwork, right? The follow-up. And so
They're
we've
they're
trained
great. They're
our,
great people. They're not great, numbers
oh,
and the details.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So having somebody like that is licensed with the company. So we have transaction coordinators that's their focus is to handle the paperwork. If we put them together, we match make within our own brokerage, we have much better success, happier agents, happier clients, less risk, no complaints. So I highly encouraged the state of Washington. I have friends in the commission. And I said, just give us some more time to kind of put some ideas together to put forward because they're really trying to shake up the transaction coordination business. And I thought, you know what? Let's hear from some of the transaction coordinators and see how they're doing their business and how we can work with them. And I think what's going to come out of that is that hopefully the state of Washington creates a separate license for those types of people so they can be more in that clerical or that transaction coordination or support role because they're invaluable, the way I look at things.
And that is great. Okay, all right. So, do you have any more questions about real estate for Stanley for her?
I'm
Um,
gonna I'm gonna have to, you know, see if there's any agents that we could that on her team, of course, that can help us offload some of these properties. So yeah,
I agree. I agree.
yeah,
You've given me some great tidbits of information and have made me, think about that as Stanley and I are investors and we're definitely intimately aware of how a real estate agent can impact things. And, get the right
yes,
agent, getting them, helping us when we need that help, is
yes,
oh boy, it can make a big difference. And so we greatly value what you're doing. The top agent that I have in my office, he does two things different. I want to just get your feedback on this. He has a marketing person here that
Mhm.
he pays a lot of money to, and
Yep.
this person is like crazy doing marketing for him. He works with the customer, and he has a transaction coordinator and a assistant that take care of everything here. So he does none of this stuff, and his focus is the customer relationship, and that
Absolutely.
allows him to magnify that. What do you think of that philosophy?
I think it's a home run, and that's probably why he's doing so well. It's important. I think gone are the days where you could just be a solo agent. I mean, I certainly did a lot of, when I was actively selling myself long time ago, back in the early 2000s, I did a lot of deals, but it takes a team. If you're going to be doing more than I would say 12 deals in a year,
Yeah.
it's super valuable. That's how you scale up, right? If you were to find the problem, I think a lot of these people or high producers face is that they get themselves aligned with maybe the wrong person and it's my buddy or it's this person that's helping me doing marketing. I don't want to let that person go. And they're so tied into that relationship on maybe on a personal level that they don't think about it like a business. And if you can find a good marketing person, a transaction coordinator, and then you're focusing your time and effort on finding and negotiating the business, then the team itself can be much more impactful on people's lives. So it's looking at scale and figuring out who can I put in those roles that are much better than I am at like the transaction coordination. Rachelle should like I know I should not be doing trying to get missing signatures or to try to go get that pamphlet just out of the utilities connected. I mean that's not should not be my best time or use. It should be going and finding more talent or more opportunities. So that's what we stress our agents if they're really wanting to elevate their career, create that team, but be very cautious at who you put on that team. Make sure they're people that you trust and that have your back and that understand their role within the team, and they don't try to collide with you. And if they do, time to let them go and find somebody new because there is some very talented people out there.
Hire fast and or hire
Yes.
slow and fire fast, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna throw some Spitfire questions at you, and this is just for fun and all that good stuff. Okay. What is the craziest, funnest adventure you've done lately, or in in your life?
Craziest fun. Climbing Kilimanjaro was my favorite trip. I told my mom, I'm like, before you die, you have to go out to Africa. It is the most incredible place on this planet. We went and we decided we wanted to go, my husband and I, climb Kilimanjaro. It was on my bucket list of something to do. And so we booked a trip. This is before the pandemic. We came back, I think, from that trip. And then we were the last trek up Kilimanjaro. I climbed, I summited the whole thing, had no problem with the oxygen levels or anything like that. They carry all your stuff for you too. It's amazing. These
Yeah.
like they're Sherpa like guys that are like buckets, those gallons of bucket, 5 gallon buckets on their head of my stuff, carrying it up from behind me. Incredible weather, just incredible scenery. Just the experience itself was just something unforgettable. And then after that
Now,
climb to come back down,
Kilimanjaro is 19,000 something, right?
no, it's insane. A lot
Yeah.
bigger than Mount Rainier.
Yes.
Yes, and but just the acclimation that it takes, it was an incredible trip. And then after that, if you're not into that kind of climb or that kind of strenuous activity, at least go out and do a safari. I mean, just the animals coming right up to the Jeep and then living like being in the safari and just doing that. It's just life changing. I came back a different person. I really believe that that would be a trip I would do.
That just sounds.
Would you ever wing walk with Jake?
I wish I would have. I told Jake I was in.
Oh my
That's
God.
that's up
Are you
there.
Stanley?
Did you do that, Stanley?
I would never in history of ever do that. Absolutely not.
Come on, Stanley.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and Jake, he took me on we went down to Vegas, right? And we did that. That was, I would say, number two, as far as craziest thing is go fly a fighter's jet, right? And do the
Yes.
goals. That was incredible too.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring Stanley down there and do that. That's another thing, Stanley, you gotta do. You gotta go fly in a fighter jet, okay? But don't be stupid like me, because I was stupid. I what's the word? I jinxed myself because I'm sitting next to Rachelle and we're getting this instruction about flying in a fighter jet. And the guy starts talking about, if you puke, you need to grab the bag, and if you don't grab the bag, you're gonna pay me more to clean the plane. And my response to that is, well, I know Rachelle here, she's going to be puking, but I'm not going to puke.
No way.
And the guy says, the instructor, he even says, well, you say that, but the reality is that guys mostly puke and girls hardly ever do. And I'm like, well, you know what? Rachelle here, I'm sure she'll puke. I will not be puking.
He's
Wow.
to him too. And
I
you
was
know what? Jake came back from that. He was like hung over. He was plastered on the seat. I mean, yes, the bag was coming out.
You see, the thing about that is that I like is that at least those are like planes that haven't been decommissioned, Like wing walking, you're on a plane that's been decommissioned. Like no one uses that plane anymore. There's seat belts. There's all kinds of little buttons and sensors and stuff. Jake's trying to get me to go on this plane that the Wright brothers used to have, and crop dusters, and all right, we're gonna crawl out. And I'm like, have you seen what wind does to 300 plus pound people? It takes them and throws them off the plane. Like
No,
he's
Hey,
just,
you know what?
oh my gosh.
You're
he's
careful
not
you're
like
doing.
a
I mean,
typical.
you're
Yeah,
secure. If you fell out of the plane, you just kind of hang on the end of the wire, you know. And the pilot even said, he says it's never happened, but if it did happen and you were hanging off, by the thing wrapped around your legs, he would just take the plane and he'd do a 360 and you would land right back in your seat. I mean,
This isn't helping, Jake. This is not helping. That
well,
doesn't help.
what CPA have you ever seen go wing walking? That's what's funny to me. Like Jake is,
Man, he's the man. I honestly, he puts to shame probably 95% of CPAs across the country, hands down. because yeah, he's pretty cool. So I'll give him that credit. I'll give him that thunder.
Most CPAs are kind of calculated, right? They're just like they're too scared to like do something that's pretty out there. And that's
Yeah,
not, oh my
that's
God.
not Jakey.
Nope.
Okay, got
That is
another
not
question for you.
Jakey.
All right. If you could have dinner with any historical figure in the whole world, alive or dead and gone, wherever, if you could sit down and have 2 hour dinner with this person and just like drum them with questions, go back and forth and learn about them and ask them like whatever, how are you so successful, or how did you do that, or whatever it was, who would it be and why?
A historical figure. Jake, I was like, I circled that one on the list. I'm like, well, I hope he doesn't ask me that question. Of course you're going to ask me that question. You know what I'm going to say, and it's going to be totally controversial, but I'd love to spend just 2 hours with Trump. I'm serious. I mean, that Trump would be just, he's also kind of a little bit like you, where it's a little out there, the outside the box, but just to kind of get in his head, just to figure out like what makes him tick, what made him say what he said on the news, what made him come up with that idea. Um, why did he decide to go up for election again? And that's shocking, to go through what he went through. So I would love to just have that opportunity if I was to
That's
go.
actually great. That's a great answer. Okay, what is the last book you read? I assume you read a little bit of books, right? What's the last good book you read, or just the last book you read? Tell us a little bit about it.
My favorite one is Never Split the Difference. That was one of my favorite. It's written by an FBI agent, and it talks about negotiation, and it's one of my favorites. I've
Wow.
reread it like 3 or 4 times. I just
Wow.
like the way it's written and the way and some of the takeaways that come out of that for negotiators.
I like it.
So one of
Wow.
my favorites.
I like that. Okay, I still have another question for you. So you must do something every day. Do you have some habits, some structures that you do every day? Because I mean, you're working with over 600 agents. You got 10 offices. You've got your family life. By the way, I didn't even mention she has 3 great kids, right? And a husband who is incredible. I'm going to talk about your husband in just a sec, but I want to know from you, what is the most wonderful what is the most productive thing that allows you to be the best that you can be on it, that you do daily or periodically?
Yeah, my morning routine, I guess, is what you're asking for. So
Yeah.
I'm a little outside the box, but I'm a bath person. So I literally will do bath in the morning, bath at night, but it's like
Oh,
so I put the music on and then I journal right after that. So yeah, I it's just like sitting in a hot bath for some reason. That just does it for me. And then I can
that is great. That tone down. You've got the stress of the day. I'm right there with you.
music
I love taking
going.
a hot bath,
Yeah,
hot tub
all of
kind of
that.
thing. That
Yeah.
is great. Okay, I just got to give a little spill for your husband because your husband's absolutely amazing. Okay, I was on the East Coast last year, and I am on the peak of what was the name of that mountain?
Mount Katahdin, yes.
Mount
Highest
Katahdin in
highest mountain in
Maine,
Maine.
right? And
Wow.
this is at the end of the Appalachian Trail that covers most of the East Coast of the United States in the Appalachian Mountains, right? And it
Yes.
goes up and over. It's not very high peaks all along the Appalachian, but it goes from state to state to state. And I was at the last of 50 states that your husband summited, because he
Right.
summited all 50, and we met him at the trailhead to climb the 50th peak on his 50th birthday, right?
Yes.
After doing the 20 something to 2,200 or 2,400 miles or whatever it was. I mean, what does it matter? Just a couple more hundred miles, right? At that point,
I know.
the whole Appalachian Trail. And on the final morning, the two of us, you and I think there was others, we
Yeah.
went to the summit and we summited that last peak. What a feat.
Yeah.
What an
It was incredible.
amazing experience.
I mean, Jake was listening to his music and really taking it all in just for that little bit. But yeah, my husband was gone from spring break till his birthday in the summer. So he was gone the entire time. Just came back for my son's graduation and went back out to the trail. But yeah, incredible trip. But that's the kind of, family I guess I'm in, very achievement based and super driven.
Ah. And of course,
That's
you've
awesome.
done many things. We climbed Mount Rainier a few years ago together, and that was on your bucket list. And I have this picture where you're like this, And you're
Yeah.
like, I did it. You're right on the summit of the mountain. It was, oh, what a highlight.
Yeah. If it wasn't for you, Jake, I don't think Eric would have taken me up. I think he would have been like, no, I'm not going to take her up. So it's
uh,
awesome. Yeah. You
well, Well, thank you so much for coming or for being on the podcast. It is wonderful to hear such amazing insights from you. I'd love to have you on again and go over some more details about technology for real estate agents and the use of AI and many other subjects actually. So maybe we can get you on again sometime.
Yeah, or you may want to hear about the craziest deal I've ever done. There's been some really crazy ones.
I
Yeah.
can. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, we got to do it. We got to do it. We got to get you on again. Hey, thank you so much for being a
Thanks
part
so
of it.
much. Nice to meet you, Stanley.
Pleasure. My
Bye.
pleasure was all mine. It's awesome. Pleasure meeting you.
That's a wrap for today. Be sure to subscribe and share this with someone who needs it. Check out jakehaynes.com for past episodes and other resources. And remember, success favors the bold. So work hard, keep growing, and take control of your cash flow so you can play harder.